So they're giving the guy like Shannon Sharpe the business. They gave it to Trevor Bauer. We've talked about Trevor Bauer before, and Trevor Bauer was never, and his stuff was found out later was 100% consensual. But yet here's a guy that to me could come back into the Major League Baseball right now and be a top 10 pitcher, and just because of the stuff that he's gone through. Do you think this can affect Shannon Sharpe this way in what's happening here?
Yeah, it will. They already suspended him.
Well, that's
Step aside is a nice way of saying suspended.
And his accuser is Gabrielle Zuniga, who is a OnlyFans star.
20 years old.
And I don't know, man.
So at first he said, no. She's accused him of a lot.
And then Shannon Sharpe.
A lot of bad things.
Yeah.
Brandishing a gun. I'll choke the bleep out of you.
And then according to...
Now it came out today, he tried to settle for $10 million. Wow. Settlers.
No, I get it. That doesn't make you look good at all.
When you settle, it doesn't.
But then, of course, allegedly, they say they have a bunch of texts. The attorney has a bunch of texts saying the lady begging him to put a quote-unquote big black baby in her, and other stuff saying he wants him to choke her. Mm-hmm. Which, if you read these texts, or whatever the case may be with this, I haven't seen the text directly. I'm just going by what was said through the media. But then why, if that's the case, and you have these receipts, so to speak, why would you settle for $10 million? That's a lot of money. $10 million?
Yeah, that's a lot of money to settle. First of all, they're text messages. Doesn't make him not guilty. Doesn't make her innocent.
Right.
They just have an explicit conversation over a text. Doesn't mean it happened.
That's true. I agree with you.
So it doesn't mean that happened. Didn't the Michigan State coach, didn't he? You can say anything.
Tucker, yeah.
Yeah. Texting is people, they call it sexting, right? So the actions, she's saying, like, she put out the word rape. So you can have a 10 billion word text message. You can have 30 years of consensual sexual relationship. But in year 31, you guys are consensual, and she says, stop, and you continue. That's rape.
Well, let's get a little rundown of this. So the lawsuit filed on Sunday in a Nevada state court that Jane Doe, and from what we're seeing here, we'll go with that, even though it's came up that allegedly she's a OnlyFans.
And keep in mind, folks, we don't know.
Yeah,
I'm not accusing anybody of anything.
We're just talking about it.
Yeah, I don't know anything. I wasn't there. I don't know. I don't know Shannon Sharpe.
So she's seeking $50 million.
Slot.
The lawsuit brings a claim for sexual battery, as well as one for intentional infliction of emotional distress for Sharpe's alleged verbal abuse. It says here, Sharpe violently sexually assaulted and anally raped plaintiff 2 different times in Las Vegas, blatantly ignoring her request for him to stop. The complaint states he did it again in January. And in a statement post on X attributed to his lawyer, Lanny Davis, Sharpe named his accuser and cited text messages that he says proves that the relationship was consensual, and he called the women's suit an egregious attempt at blackmail. Also, Sharpe and the woman met in 2023 at a Los Angeles gym, according to the complaint. They soon entered into a relationship, surprise, surprise, which included consensual sex. The lawsuit says the sex later turned violent, it alleges. The woman says Sharpe confronted the woman, demanded she take him to her house, and once there, he forced her to perform oral sex before penetrating her. And then 3 months later, in January, Sharpe allegedly assaulted her a second time, the lawsuit alleges. He grabbed her, pulling her around and positioning her to perform oral sex, which lasted for roughly 2 minutes. The complaint states, then Sharpe repositioned her and roughly forced himself inside of her. Sharpe has also been sued in New York State Court by an ex-girlfriend who alleges he forced her to perform oral sex. My thing is this. Can I just say this? Whether it was consensual or not, that's got to be proven, right? But if you didn't like it the first time, I mean, why would you go back? Did you think things were going to change the second time? Because it says here, in this, it says they did it 2 different times in Vegas, ignoring her request for him to stop. The complaint state he did it again in January, allegedly. Why would you go back? Why, like, if this happened before, why would you stick around and do it and come back again? That, to me, I mean, that just kind of is
money.
I mean,
Money,
obviously.
Maybe thinking it would stop. Like, I don't know the state of her mind. Like, maybe she thought it would be different.
Okay, can we say this though?
And she kept,
if you're meeting people at gyms, and obviously he probably knew she was an OnlyFans person, and that's what he had to know in the back of his head that it's. It had to be just sex in his mind.
Well, yeah, but that could be.
I'm sure he didn't date her or want to date her to marry her.
Well, she could. We don't know.
I mean, you're right.
We don't know. She could be a streetwalker. The
Right.
OnlyFans thing doesn't really matter. Like, it's how he treated her. How he physically. Well, she's saying physically, but you're right. She kept going back. Like, I mean, the OnlyFans page or whatever, the porn star or a streetwalker, she's still a woman, and she still feels that she was violated. That's one. 2, I don't want to hear Shannon was 54 and she was 20. She was over 18, right?
Right.
So she's over 18, she's 19, 20. Belichick's 70. Nobody's saying anything about his girlfriend that's 23. Okay? So let's not do that. Let's not do that.
Yeah, I mean,
because they're applauding that.
Right.
So let's not do that. But the thing with Shannon is he has a history of this. He was let go at CBS for complaints. They had complaints at Fox.
Was he involved in those complaints with Troy Taylor?
No,
in the year too?
He was not in that.
Okay.
He was not in that. But Jason Whitlock, and I'm quoting Jason Whitlock, that worked there before Shannon Sharpe worked there. The HR file is big on him with women and before. So Busby, the lawyer that goes after these folks, he's trying to turn on the lights so all the women can come out. That's what he's doing. And this is what he does. So it's not a good look. Actually, it's sad, to use, again, what you said earlier, the athlete, it's a typical story. It's the same
Well, it's
story.
a typical story because I think a lot of times it's guilty until proven
innocent. Yeah. Like I said, I don't know what Shannon did. I don't know what she did. We got the tech stuff, but they did say that she is that he wanted to settle for $10 million.
But
and he has a history. And Shannon Sharpe to me, like the LA incident when he was in, wanting to fight Ja Morant or whoever the Memphis player, that kind of showed me a lot. That was kind of a red flag. It has nothing to do with really women, but like aggressive and ready to just, dude, you're professional. You're in the media now. You're different. You're Shannon Sharpe. You're obviously good at what you do. Stephen A. Smith brought you over. The ratings increased. You and Skip had a good thing going for 6 years. So, sometimes you just you got to have you got to have some restraint. You just do. Like, you're in a position, everybody can see you, and you're out there ready to fight NBA basketball players. Then you come back and you let a sex tape slip.
But do you think a lot of this, though, is
it's just behavior
dropped so that their popularity or their viewership goes up?
It could be.
You know, it's a money thing.
It could be.
Because we see this
everything's about money.
Too often.
Everything's about money. We know that.
But like I said, look, granted, you know, like we've talked about this before with the Trevor Bauer thing. Listen, some people are into that rough sex and all that other stuff. But I just feel like, you know, do you think Shannon Sharpe's getting a bad rap? Or do you just think he just doesn't know how to control himself? And like you said, you had heard that allegedly he has a huge HR file on him, allegedly.
Yeah.
I mean, do you think this is a type of guy that, you know, this is just his MO and this is what he does? Or do you think he's kind of getting a bad rap with this?
I don't know. I don't know if he's getting a bad rap. I don't know if it's true. Like I said, you know, Whitlock reported that he worked there. He saw things that he's not going to, you know, say about. But he did get, this is what happened to him at CBS. A woman filed a complaint against him years ago. He took Deion Sanders' spot on CBS broadcast. And he was very good at it. I don't know Shannon Sharpe personally, but some of the actions that you see, some of the things that you see, they're aggressive things. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know how he is with women, but there's a kind of a pattern here.
Yeah, according to that, you know, it's not it's not good.
It's not good for him. It's not good for her.
It's not good for just like I said. I mean, if you felt like, I think most people that have been accused of this kind of stuff and are adamant about being innocent wouldn't be allegedly trying to settle out of court.
Mm-hmm.
I don't see that's because it wouldn't be like she's settling out of court for $250,000.
Right.
This is $10 million.
It's $10 million.
Which means if he's settling this for $10 million with her,
something went wrong.
Something went wrong.
Yeah.
And not only that, he thinks, or his lawyer thinks, settle with her for 10 because she could get more money out of you, and or your character is going to be even worse. But like I said, if you're innocent and you want to prove yourself and keep your job in the media,
don't settle.
Don't settle.
Well, this is going to go bad, you know, if it's that, because he's set to sign a $100 million deal. So that, you know, this could go, it could help. Or
because it says here she was seeking $50 million. Mm-hmm. So she only wants 10 now?
Well, he was willing to settle for 10. She doesn't want any. He said he sent her the settle bill.
Mm.
She was like, no, 50. That raised the stakes, and that's going to raise the stakes for him. We'll see how it plays out, but either way, it doesn't look good.
For me, though,
because now you have it. Now you have it. All your other stuff brought up.
I just feel like, though, that I'm not saying Shannon Sharpe is in the right, but just in what information we're seeing right now, he was going to give her 10 mil. She wants 50. My thing is, this has happened before with the same girl, and she came back. And the same thing happened again. You know what I'm saying?
Doesn't make it right.
You know, it doesn't make it right at all.
That's
but it's just like, to me, though, that just seems like there's some kind of, it kind of smells of blackmail.
Well, take the money out of it. Take the $50 million, take the 100, take what he's worth out of it, and they're just regular Joe Schmoes. Because people with money don't consider themselves regular. So take that out of it, and then you say, I really like this person. You know how many women get slapped in the face and go back to the same dude?
Well, that's true.
They do it all the time.
I agree with you.
You know how many women get punched in the face?
And most of them they're going
Yeah.
back to don't have the money.
Yeah.
But here's my thing. If you're trying, if you find out somebody, if you meet somebody in the gym and you find out they're an OnlyFans woman, because I'm sure that was brought up.
But that's you can be an OnlyFans model. You don't have to be a sex OnlyFans model.
Right, but when you first think of OnlyFans, isn't that kind of the first thing you think of? Oh, it's got to be sex, and maybe OnlyFans is, obviously there's I don't
know much about it. I just, like I said, I don't. It's not all sex. People model on it, and they do tasteful things on it too. I don't know this woman at all. I don't know what she did on there, but he told her if he would buy her boobs if they won this workout thing together, and he ended up doing that. So I'm sure he knew it was a money grab. That's where you have to have that restraint and be careful. If you like I said, if you know that. And she's just putting it in your face. Well, this is what it is. I'm OnlyFans, and you got to kind of be careful if that's the avenue you're going to take.
Well, he obviously, according to this, and my thing is this: why do people have to post this kind of stuff? Post these tweets or whatever you want to call it now.
People love sensation, man.
Why does this is something that I wouldn't want to add any fuel to the fire. Mm-mm. Keep it hush-hush to a certain extent. Because he puts out this on, I believe it was maybe Instagram. He said,
yep.
At this juncture, I am electing to step aside temporarily from my ESPN duties. I will be devoting this time to my family, responding and dealing with these false and disruptive allegations set against me. I plan to return to ESPN at the start of the NFL preseason. I sincerely appreciate the overwhelming and ongoing support I have received from my family, fans, friends, and colleagues.
Why are you stepping aside?
Well, that's what I'm saying. If you're
you haven't been proven guilty yet.
Yeah,
you haven't been proven. But the brand ESPN, the biggest sports brand in the world, they told him, bye. Stephen A. Smith said on his podcast. So here's the thing with that. You recruited him to come over. Everybody knows you gambled on him. Again, let me repeat, this happened before. CBS let him go. This happened before. Again, I'm not saying Shannon is, even on the CBS story, they found something that they thought was wrong, but Stephen A. recruited him. It just shows to show you how everything is just about money and ratings and things like that. Because you've done a background check, right? This is what has happened. And allegedly it was at Fox. Everything goes on at Fox. There's no telling what goes on at Fox. So you guys they just had enough. Is what, and me honestly, I think at some point they're going to have enough of Stephen A. Smith. Every day he's in a fight with something or doing something. I don't know. I know they like that.
You think these media figures have become?
It's not clean media anymore.
No, it's not.
And I watch
yeah,
it's not clean media. It's just throw shots, dirtbag this, dirtbag that. Everything is, But when you get in those situations, when you're popular, you have money, people want your money. Everybody knows that. On any level.
On any level.
They want your money.
You're right.
They want your money. So you got to be aware of that. This young lady, that could have been her set out.
But do you think it's unfair to a certain extent that you see a guy like Shannon Sharpe stepping away allegedly on his own?
Well, you're only there 2 days a week. So
right.
It's not like
and then, but not only that, you see a guy like Trevor Bauer who wasn't settling for any payments. Come to find out, what he said was true, and he proved that. But now he doesn't get a second chance in the big leagues. You know what I'm
Is he
saying?
always injured? Because you've been screaming the Trevor Bauer thing for years.
No, he's not always injured. No.
So why do you think he's not getting a second chance?
I just think it's because of this situation. What else is there?
I'm saying, but he's
pitched well. Even, obviously in Japan he's pitched well. He pitched well last year in the Mexican League. I just think, one, he got a bad rap, and he was one of these ones where they crucified him. And come to find out, I just think I think a lot of these franchises, if they bring him back, then that has to say, yeah, we were wrong, and they don't want to admit that.
Could be. I don't. Like I said, his deal was he was 100% proven wrong. I mean, proven innocent, and this is America,
right?
So I don't. Maybe it's something that we don't know.
Well, but then you look at, you could say blackball, so to speak, in certain things as you do, the Colin Kaepernick thing. Now, granted, Colin Kaepernick to me wasn't a great quarterback, but he was serviceable. He went to the Super Bowl with Jim Harbaugh. Mm-hmm. But, obviously the whole patriotic thing did him in, and now, he couldn't even get a shot at any team. Now, granted, that could have been a skill thing for him.
Skill, yeah.
But he did prove that he was a decent quarterback in the NFL while he played.
Yeah, he could have been backup somewhere.
Right.
But nobody wants to go through that standing, kneeling, all that. Nobody wants to.
So
I can see the point.
Do you think it's just the back? But see, my thing is this. I can see teams not wanting to pick up certain players just because of what they are perceived to be. But here's a guy, like we said, like Trevor Bauer, where he was proven innocent. And then there's other, we've seen that through the stuff. I mean, I'm just saying.
No, I'm laughing at you. Because you like Trevor Bauer as a pitcher.
I do like Trevor Bauer. But here's my thing. When you look at it, though, it's not like everybody thought, oh, Trevor Bauer's a dirtbag, and I can't believe you would do this to a woman and do that. And when it all boils down to, he was proven innocent.
Sometimes that happens. Sometimes they prove you innocent.
So Shannon Sharpe,
guilty, yeah.
Do you think he gets through this and you see him back on the air?
I do not know. I cannot answer that because I don't know what happened. I don't know what happened with Trevor Bauer. I don't know.
It was kind of the same thing.
Yeah,
rough sex.
Yes.
That was said it wasn't consensual.
Yeah.
But it ended up being.
What?
And listen.
Well, Shannon Sharpe, they both said it was consensual. But you got to be careful with that because, again, it doesn't matter how many times you can be consensual. If she says stop or no, you have to stop or no.
Absolutely.
So that's that for him. And then she's saying something about a gun. I don't know what happened with Trevor Bauer. All I remember is that she, I guess, whatever, the rough sex thing, and maybe from an inside in MLB, maybe there's something else to him because clearly he was 100% innocent. So why wouldn't? You know what I mean? Like maybe it's something we don't know about it. But I don't know. I don't know if this is going to hurt his brand. I don't know if he comes back or not. I don't know. I really don't.
Well, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Well, we also have a topic that ties into this, and I know people have watched. Last weekend was WrestleMania weekend from Las Vegas, Nevada.
Oh, they had it in Las Vegas? Okay.
And it's now a 2-night event. It's been a 2-night event for a while now. Remember how back in the day it was one? And it was like a 4-hour pay-per-view.
Sunday afternoon.
Yeah.
It was on Sunday.
It was on for like 4 hours.
Yeah.
Well, now they have 2 nights that are probably about 3 hours long. So they have night one where they have all the matches and championships, and then the second night, the same thing. So it's gotten that big to where they sell out both. I think between the two, I think I did watch a little bit of it. Between the two nights, they drew 120 some thousand people.
I heard the tickets were astronomical.
Well, that's what we're going to get ourselves into.
It's not the same. Jared knows about this stuff.
Jared does know about this. Before I go to
don't go to Jared. Okay.
Before I go to Jared, though,
Okay.
To tie into what the Shannon Sharpe thing was.
Yeah, please tell me.
Paul Heyman, who is a legendary WWE Hellraiser, he's a manager. He kind of stays in kayfabe. He kind of stays in kayfabe all the time.
He looks like the Undertaker manager.
He does. He went on the Pat McAfee show, who Pat McAfee, if you don't know, is also a color commentator for WWE events. Mm-hmm. And it was, it says, after he chose violence, as kids like to say, and how violent? He says, we're talking to the point where viewers were left wondering if Pat's show would be canceled after the variety of topics raised by Heyman, including the reference of ESPN talent Shannon Sharpe's brand new $50 million rape lawsuit.
What did Heyman say?
Well, here's what Heyman said. Paul Heyman. The ink was barely dry on the lawsuit, and Heyman sat there on ESPN airwaves making multiple Sharpe references. He says, you don't care about the opinions of people who are relevant in your life, Heyman told McAfee. You don't care about the opinions of people who pay you. They sit there and go, hey, Mr. McAfee, don't talk about Shannon Sharpe on your air today. And you go, I can talk about anything I want. Heyman then made references to Pat smoking pot, brought up by Stephen A. Smith, and made sure to drop a mention that WWE wrestler CM Punk does as much for my reputation as Shannon Sharpe does to ESPN. So WWE fans say that he should be classified as nuclear heat, which, for those who don't understand wrestling industry vernacular, is a wrestler or wrestling personality's ability to elicit a strong emotional reaction from the crowd, typically negative, but can also be positive. So he had some crazy things to say on this. And like I said, here's a guy that it's something to, hey, WrestleMania was a big thing, and he's kind of keeping it. You know, people do things for social media to get views and hits. So maybe people that don't watch wrestling see this on Paul Heyman's on Pat McAfee show, and then says, hey, we got to check out wrestling. So it's kind of like the negative always seems
outweigh the positive.
Outweigh the positive.
It does.
Where people get views.
Yeah, people don't like positivity.